Good. Okay, we're more than enough then. Are we recording?
Yeah, it's recording.
I'm going to go ahead and call us to order so that we can get started today. I've got the agenda up on the screen. We want to thank Antonio for his excellent support and help of our technology. So he always has us in such a good place. So thank you for that. You guys, it's December. What? It's December. So if you haven't already, please make sure that you do the QR code so we can get attendance. And then write your name in giant letters on your table tent that's in front of you, please. And the first thing we'll do is check with our secretary to see if we have established our quorum.
We have.
And we have. So the next thing we'll do is approval of the minutes. And Rashandra sent those out from the November meeting. So everybody should have had a chance to review those. Any questions, comments, or anybody want to move to accept the meetings of the November meeting? Megan? Okay. Colacione, okay. Do we have a second? I didn't see who it was. Okay. Okay. Huh? Oh, all in favor. I always forget that part. All in favor? Opposed? I never forget that part. All right. Thank you all very much. We did have a couple of speakers that were going to join us today, and unfortunately they've let me know that they are tied up in the Board of Trustees meetings right now, so they will be unable to hop on over to see us today, but we will keep them on the agenda for a future meeting and look forward to hearing from them. I wanted to just share a couple of things with you guys as we get started. Let's see if I can find. So I want to make sure that you guys, so we're halfway through your term, your first year as a senator, and it is flying by. And I'm sure in addition to your committee responsibilities and your real work responsibilities and all of the other things that you're getting pulled into, that you're still kind of feeling your way. And so I wanted to offer you a few opportunities as a way to assess how you're going and what you're working on. These are your elected staff senators have the opportunity to. These are some things that we promised that you would have the opportunity to do. So check us there and see this is on the website. And then I want to ask you, and you don't have to report this out loud, but I want to ask you, have you taken the chance to check in with your constituents? If we were to ask your constituents who is their senator, would they know who their staff senator is? Take it back a little bit. Would they know they have a staff senator if we were to poll your constituents? If you question that, then maybe now would be a good time in the new year to check in with your constituents. Just, say, hey, I'm your senator, a little bit about me. We've got folks in this room that are doing it really well. And so reach out at our teams where you can chat up a question and ask for examples. And so make sure you're doing that. We've got some senators that have formed a caucus from a particular area, and so they're able to work together on things that affect their specific constituents. So I would ask, if you're not integrated with the other senators, find a way to do that so that we can make real change. You can do a lot more as a group than you can individually on our campus. So that's the first way to assess. Do your constituents know that you exist and know that the staff senator exists? I would also ask, does your leadership of your particular area, have you checked in with them? That's a way to assess how you're doing. If we were to go and ask the Vice President, who are your senators? Would they know the answer to that? Would they know that there's a staff Senate? We did a lot of work, Lena and Angela did a lot of work on the front end introducing this before any of us even existed as a part of the Senate. And so now it's our job to continue to take that forward and make sure we're keeping our leadership in the loop. So if you don't know if your dean or vice president or director of your area knows that exists and staff Senate exists, ask them to coffee. See if you can get a recurring appointment on their calendar, just to see what issues they're hearing from staff in the area, how you might or we can't make everybody happy all the time, but we can at least get that pulse of what's going on. I find that we do a pretty good job of something that's a heightened concern that campus gets upset about. But I think we need to really consider what are some of the other things that are happening on campus where we can not just be reactive to what everybody's excited about or what the media tells us to be excited about, where we can really get to know what staff need on a regular basis that will make a difference in their life at the university. And so really, I think those are the two primary ways to assess yourself. What are your constituents thinking? What is your leadership thinking? If you're from an area that has several senators, I hope that you're working together to condense that communication and make it something that your constituents can read and understand. And I hope that you're attending the staff meetings and taking notes and thinking of ways to give me feedback, give us feedback from your constituents, and then give feedback to your constituents from us. If there's a way that we can do that better and easier for you, we want to know that. It amazes me each month as we go through this, what we learn to do a little bit better than we did that first month. We're a work in progress, and we would be nothing without each of you. And we're so grateful for the time that you give to the Staff Senate. And we want to make sure that it's useful for all of our staff on campus. So that's my spiel right now. And in lieu of the fact that we weren't able to get Thad to come or Audrey from the Faculty Senate, I'm so excited that Lauren Smith is here. She's been such a friend to the Staff Senate and continues to represent us well with the presidential search. So I'll invite Lauren to come forward and just share some brief information about where we are with the search, and hopefully she will be okay with you asking questions, but just know that she's limited in what she can share and what she knows. Fair enough? Come on up.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me, as always. So I'm not speaking as an official representative of the board, of course, but I am of the search committee. Thad did send a message to Shelley and me saying that they are still meeting. They are currently meeting, I believe the governance committee is meeting. They said that they are not discussing anything related to the presidential search today in their board meeting, and there's no information to share at this time. So that's kind of where I am. I don't have a lot of information either. I know that there was a lot of consternation and concern about staff representation back when we had a presidential finalist, and I definitely heard that, and the board heard that, and I was assured multiple times that there was going to be staff representation on the panels that were being planned. Since that time, and since Dr. Chong withdrew, there hasn't really been any communication coming to the search committee. So I don't have a lot to share with you at this time regarding what's going on in the board's mind. I can speak to what they were trying to do, because I know there was also consternation about the finalists, there only being one. Because it was a more closed search this time and they were trying to keep the level of candidates very high, there was a lot of concern over confidentiality, as I know you guys heard from me a lot during the search. They were concerned that people who, maybe sitting presidents or other positions that really would not want their confidentiality to be compromised at risk of losing their current job, they were trying to keep everyone's names under wraps within the law, of course, because there's the law that 3 names be released. So they were attempting to sort of mimic what happened with Dr. Gable, Provost Gable, when she went to Minnesota, not Dr. Gable, sorry, law degree, but she went to Minnesota as a finalist, and she was the sole finalist. And that was kind of what they were attempting to do here at UofSC. Of course, it didn't work out in the same way here because the final candidate withdrew. So that's all the information I have to share. I think we're all upset, and concerned. And I probably speak for the board too, because it's a bummer to have your final candidate withdraw. And I hope that things turn around soon. So that's all I have to say.
Do they have any questions that they would like to ask? Oh, sorry.
So with
assured representation of staff on panels, and that was explaining not the visits that happened prior that was disclosed, right, by all the media outlets. We have zero representation there, correct?
I don't know if anyone had representation there. I think they were just meeting with the board at that point.
Okay, and so the plan was that they were gonna eventually.
The plan was to bring a final candidate to campus and have several panels and discussions and have that final candidate sort of be on campus and meet people. And I was assured that staff was going to be represented in that day. Of course, that day never happened because our final candidate withdrew. Yeah.
But but they still don't have anything official at this point. They're going to be other than a statement.
That's correct.
Right.
There's no
Yeah.
formal role of a staff member.
Right.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I just wanted to see if there was like a legitimate role source plan. It's somewhere written down, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you again to Lauren for, oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Thank you, student affairs. So I guess I'm just wondering, so there was no staff representation either in regards to getting to the finalist candidate?
Oh, there was, yeah. I was there. Yeah, I was there at all the interviews and
Okay.
I met every single candidate that was brought in for an interview, and it was, I think everyone was really excited about the candidates, including, so what happened is, of course, the committee met with all the candidates, interviewed all of them, and then the 5 names were sent forward to the board, and the board was very, very pleased with the final candidates, said that they were really high caliber, and then there was a finalist, and the finalist withdrew. So, yeah, you're welcome.
And do we know at this time if there's going to be like it coming back to your team, the presidential search committee, or do we know if they're going to examine the other finalists or the other candidates that you all put forward?
I don't know any of that information. I'm sure that's something the board is actually discussing. I hope not today, since they said they weren't discussing it in today's meeting. But yeah, I'm sure it's very much a hot topic. And, I think the questions, and I'm not speaking for the board whatsoever, but I think if I were in that position, what you would have to be throwing around is, will the other finalists still be interested? Will we have to open up a whole new search? I mean, those are things that I'm sure that any of us are pondering. What will happen next? Will they convene a new search committee, or will they keep this one? It's hard to say. And none of those were hints, because I really have no internal information about that. I don't know any other information other than the finalist withdrew. So I think the board is probably deciding what they're going to do next.
So are there any plans?
The last meeting we had was when they still had a finalist, and the board was supposed to meet. So we met the Friday before the scheduled board meeting to discuss procedures for bringing the finalists to campus. And then that weekend, the press, all the news broke about finalists, and he withdrew, and then we haven't met since. So I don't know what that means for.
It sounds like you're looking for direction. The committee is looking for direction from the board.
Right. I think the committee is waiting to hear what's going to happen next. Yeah.
Unfortunately, with student affairs, of the 5 names that were sent to the board, you share anything about the characteristics of those candidates, about revealing their identity?
Yeah, I can say that they very much met the leadership profile that was published, and they were very diverse. There was a lot of diversity in the finalists.
When you say diversity, what do you mean? Like men, women, black, white?
All of the above.
All of them.
Yeah.
Lauren, thank you.
Yes, thank you guys so much.
And when I say that Lauren has been a partner to us, I truly mean it. To come and stand before us to give even the limited answers and the information that she knows is just so appreciated. I know that you, I'm seeing heads nod, you all feel the same way I do, that we're worthy of that audience and having you come today. So thank you so much for that. Okay. We will now move into the reports of the officers. And so Tyson, I will call on you as our parliamentarian. You can go down there.
All right, so there is no vote or action being taken today on the bylaws. This is informational and to solicit feedback and questions in accordance with the bylaws of presenting it to you all 1 month prior to any vote on a bylaw change. So these, can we put those? I think so. These requests came to the bylaws committee from the membership committee. Shonda, do you have?
I just have the proposed resolution. This is just several.
It was in an email that was sent.
While we're digging, I can. All right, so this relates to Article 5, election process, Section 4, election of officers. Currently, the officers would be elected in July, which occurs after Senate elections. The membership committee, in consultation with the bylaw committee, is recommending that officer elections occur prior to senator elections. And the reason for, and to occur in March. So March, we would have officer elections. The reason for that is if a senator is elected, then runs for an office, that seat would need to be immediately filled. So we're trying to avoid having units, organizational units, vote twice within 2 months, really. So we want to be able to elect our officers, which this body would elect. Everyone knows who the officers are. If someone runs for an office, is not elected as an officer, then they could run for Senate. And so forth. So it's really to try to clean up that process so we're avoiding having back-to-back elections. So that is item number 1, and we'll make sure we send all this out to everyone as well. Item number 2 is so that individuals have the amount of time to evaluate the officer candidates, that those interested in running for office need to submit in writing to the executive committee by the February staff Senate meeting. So then at the February staff Senate meeting, we can share with the body, these are the individuals interested in running for office, of which you will vote for in March. Currently, the bylaws read that is submitted based on the current timeline in April. So we're just, item 2 is related to item 1 in the sense that the elections will occur in March. So we want you to be able to identify yourself as an officer candidate in February. So that's simply just to keep the timeline in the same cadence as the current bylaws and adjusting item 2 if we adjust item 1. Then finally, clarifying in the bylaws, which are currently exist, that we want to have an information session for senators in January, instructional, informational only for those interested in running for office. So currently in the bylaws, it refers to it as an orientation. Since we have an orientation, the membership committee and the bylaws committee wanted to differentiate between the orientation we had, which is lengthy and was all day, versus just an informational session that we can do virtually on Teams for an hour to give information to individuals who are interested in running for office. So I don't want to hold us up any longer, but we'll make sure we get all this to you. Does anyone have any questions about the proposal from the membership committee, which was voted on favorably by the bylaws committee? All right, well, can we just, I think we're out. We just email it. Oh, you got it? Okay.
You didn't send it as an attachment, so let me just like copy.
Okay.
See it was in there too.
Oh.
Copy that. I thought you saw it. You responded to all of them. That's the should actually.
Okay, there we go. All right, so again, the first one, just adjusting the officer elections to March. Item 2, having the declaration to run for office in February so that we can share that out at the February meeting to then vote on it in March. And then item 3 is just about the informational session for senators interested in running for office. And we'll throw this in the Teams environment as well for your review. But the bylaws committee and the executive committee will ask for you to vote on this at our January meeting. So this is the 1 month prior informational. Right. Thank you.
Okay, next we'll move along to the reports of the committees. And so I'll just call you by your committee name. Membership, and if you don't have anything to report, just say no report. Membership. No report. Okay. Communications. We've moved the mic puck over here, puck mic, whatever the order is, right there. So if everybody could come around this little table to speak, it makes it easier for our folks at home.
Okay, so good afternoon. First of all, a little disclaimer before I start. So I work, like everybody here, I wear 2 hats. I'm on the communications committee for the Senate. I'm also from the Office of Communications and Public Affairs. So my hats are very similar. And I hope you'll forgive me that there are some things that I'm not at liberty to talk about here, even though they overlap with what's happening in committee. So very briefly, last meeting, our Vice President for Communications, Larry Thomas, spoke to us, and that generated some conversation at my office about what we can do as an office to better tell staff stories. The committee has been talking all semester about exactly that, but also about how to communicate to staff. There's a difference, right? 2 is HR stuff. 2 is information about what we're doing right here. About is about celebrating staff, recognizing staff, elevating staff in an engaging and intelligent way. Now, for 6 years in my job, I was the editor of UofSC Times, print publication that stopped publication, went on hiatus in March of 2020 because of the pandemic. I mean, you don't put a print publication in mailboxes when everybody's at home. For the past year and a half, whatever it's been, we've been trying to figure out what to do. Larry's visit, our vice president's visit to this body last time, sparked further conversation in committee about what can be done, but also sparked conversation in my office, and in particular, a conversation between myself and Larry Thomas. What I can tell you, UofSC Times is coming back. There will be a significant focus on staff, faculty as well. It is a faculty and staff publication. The timeline is still up in the air. I'm not at liberty to talk about the format at this moment. I'm not at liberty to talk about the delivery method. But what I am going to ask you to do, and then I'll get out of your hair, before you leave today, I have a stack of note cards. And just using your judgment, this is not a vote. This is not a Senate vote. This is like a straw poll just to sort of help my office and also the committee to understand some things. If you would just, before you leave today, just put, if you think that your constituents would prefer to receive stories about staff in a print format, put a P on the card. If you think they would prefer it in a web format, put a W. I know most of you would probably say, well, I want both. It may be, I don't know, I can't say, but just pick one. And if you really don't know, just put a question mark. That's it. Now, if you want to give some comments or you want to go, wax on about something or give suggestions, feel free to do so on the back. If you want me to contact you individually, you can put your name, your contact. You don't have to, right? All I really need is the P and the W, P or the W. Sometime before you leave, I'll leave these here. There are some pens. That's it. I'll try to answer any questions if you've got them, recognizing that I can't answer every question.
You and Lauren are in a similar boat. Right?
Yes. Yes. My two hats are extremely similar. And I don't sometimes know which one yes. Email, I would put a W for that. Yeah. Any other questions?
I think this is an excellent example of somebody using their position with the Senate to help mobilize in their real work. So thank you for. And I think it also shows the value of the folks that we've had come visit us in this room. I've learned so much from some of these people that I had no idea. And I've been at the university for 500 years and I still learn approximately 500, still learn things. So thank you. Next up, staff policy and well-being. Yes, you can. Fancy, sure. I'll take my drink. I'll move this back because I'll probably talk over there.
Okay. So the Staff Policy and Wellbeing Committee had an awesome meeting with Belinda. She is one of the HR benefits managers over in Human Resources, as well as VP Agardi, to discuss benefits, all the feedback that you all provided us in our committee to talk about what does it look like if you dwindle down the categories that everyone expressed that they would like feedback or benefits on. Who is the overriding body that oversees those benefits? And what is even her recommendations, questions we might have, notes that we took for this. So I'm going to pull up the Teams channel because this is available to all of you all to look at and see. In the staff policy and well-being area, there we go. And then we have a file called HR response to Senate benefits requests. And what is on here, actually, let me download it for you all. Is what you all can take a look at and just ponder around as what we want to do, and let me make this a little bigger, is we're going to figure out as your policy and well-being committee, your vote with your constituents, what benefits, primary and secondary, and possibly a third, should this committee really be focusing our efforts, time, and energy on, working collaboratively with human resources to stay focused and to try to accomplish a movement in one of the areas, right? So we talked a lot about, and again, human resources categorize this based off their expertise with who is the benefit authority, like who is that governing body of that benefit. And so a lot of us had questions about that, right? So adoption assistance, medical insurance, dental coverage, infertility benefits, the 366-day rule that we have with medical appointments, different things that are health screenings, yoga, so you can see how it's split out. So on the right-hand side, I took notes personally, and then I am very open, and I know the committee's open for you all to put even questions that you might have on different categories that we can follow back up with human resources on specifically if you have a honed-in benefit that you just want to learn more about. But wanted to show you all. So the red does mean that our state agency, based off the experts, cannot have any authority of changing that. So let's see. So we have the PIBA benefits that you all have written or given feedback. Health services, we have health screenings, yoga on the horseshoe, on campus, staff urgent care.
The one thing that I did want to share with this, that we actually had Dr. Rebecca Caldwell with us as well in the meeting, and she did share that they are looking into a entire campus meditation app. So whether that's the Calm app or whether that's Headspace that you all might be aware of, they do have 3 yoga classes each week live streamed. That is in person, but is live streamed for you to participate. But they want to look at outside areas in the future. She did talk about the University Health Services, and this is going to be a great person to invite once University Health Services figures out how they navigate for staff and faculty, right? Now becoming University Health Services. So they're still figuring that out. So these notes area, I hope they're helpful for you all, just in the basic information that they shared with us of what can be done and what can't. So even going down to USC leadership. So in what's in their control, but that we've got to figure out. So is it the tuition assistance for dependents, and tuition assistance for staff and faculty that are available on campus? Increased wellness incentives, free or reduced on-campus childcare. These are hot topics that you all had expressed when you became senators that you want to advocate for and represent your constituents with. So what's going to happen after this is I'm going to be working with our team. This Thursday we have a committee meeting, and we're going to be looking at how we want to survey you all, and then basically survey you all just as senators of what you would like as the primary, secondary, and potentially a third, and we'll discuss that as a committee, that our group should focus on and work with human resources, work with our campus leadership, even to the point, some of this stuff, we know it goes to the state level. Does that mean we need to work with our state representatives, right? So that's where we're at as a committee right now, is really honing in on what we're going to advocate for and what we're going to focus on. And that came directly from you all. So we appreciate all of your input. And we are now just zoning in on what really to focus on for this year and this next semester. Does anyone have any questions? Yes.
I know that faculty discussing a long time. My concern was before we had a staff senate, my concern was that they would somehow get that without the staff being able to get that. So I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah, Brad.
So, how do you come up there?
Yeah, just so you can talk in the mic. So, yep, we are, I'm going to have Brad Holt, who's one of our committee members, come up and chat about it.
I actually have not updated our notes for our group, but I was going to do that before Thursday. I met with Joey Derrick and Cindy Peachy in financial aid about this topic, just to learn more about it, how it works, whatever. The program that they use for tuition assistance, it's treated like a scholarship, but it's run out of financial aid here in Columbia. And it actually is for the entire university system. So that's the first thing to kind of understand about it. So to your point, it would be very difficult the way it's structured right now for any particular group to get some advantage of some kind or carve out. They do make determinations based on campus of the amounts, right? And right now for Columbia, it's $3,000 a year. It's different at other campuses, and I'm not sure what it is at other campuses. It's funded by the foundation, and it's kind of at their discretion. It's fully funded right now. It's just under $800,000 a year that they have to work with. And what Joey said to me, without getting all the details, is they have not had to turn down requests in the last several years, which is good. As far as the mechanism for how you find out about it, because I know a lot of us are like, hey, I didn't even know where I go to find it. They intentionally don't really advertise it on the website in a way that you could say, oh, I'll go apply for it. Because the way it works is when a student checks on their application for admission that they're a dependent of an employee, to get the free application fee, which I didn't know about, but that's nice. That data is actually collected and sent to the financial aid office to then have them reach out and provide the application for the dependent scholarship. So that's the basics of how it works. There may be some details somebody wants to know, but I'll write everything. I'll go through my notes, write everything up, and kind of give everybody an update. But did that answer your question or help?
Yes, I just know they're working on free tuition.
Yeah, so free tuition, apparently the history on that, and I I'm not sure how much this has been factually verified, but everybody I've talked to that's been around here a while, when I say a while, we're talking a long, long time.
500 years.
Yeah. Tells stories about other state employees raising concerns about USC employees, and Joe's shaking his head. I don't mean to put you in that category, by the way. Yeah. And that being a real hurdle to getting all the way to free. The other issue is that from kind of what Joey communicated was, I think there's some issues at some point where if the money gets high enough, it becomes a concern about, this benefit is more beneficial than some of the scholarships that people are applying for, and some perception that it shouldn't be that way. I don't know that I totally agree with that perception, but there is some maybe pushback there that I don't know all the details of and haven't fully contemplated myself. But I think that's one of the hurdles. My main goal is just to understand it better, understand kind of how it's funded, that type of thing. I think the question becomes, where do we go from here, right? Do we work with the foundation to say we need mechanisms to grow the pot, right? So that it can go from 3,000 to 4,000 to 5,000, whatever, over time. I think that's a worthwhile conversation to have. And I think it should probably be done as a joint conversation with whatever faculty senate representation is having that conversation. I just don't know where the funding would come from, but maybe that's the big question is, do we need to start working with senior administration about additional funding? Because it's probably been at 3,000 for 6 or 7 years now. And yet tuition has still gone up, right? So.
And so if I understand you guys correctly, what Megan is asking us for is our top three, and if that makes it into the
Sure.
top 2, maybe 3,
We'll spend some more
that's
time.
where you'll spend more
Yes.
time.
Yeah.
instead. Okay.
And if not, and there's something you are very passionate about, I think the beauty of this body is that you can create an ad hoc committee and take your skills and your passion and your leadership and help connect the dots and get a team of people, senators and non-senators, our constituents that are passionate about this, to help make something come to fruition. And so I think that that's something, at least with our committee, we are going to just try to get a pulse check of what we should be focusing on from the larger picture based off how you all work with your constituents and what they're very passionate about when it comes to their benefits out of a lot of the topics that you see here. But again, if this is something that you all are passionate about and this is an example topic, I really encourage you to come together and create that ad hoc committee. I hear, for those that are out there listening, I encourage the same thing, and for you to share that with them, is that if anyone's very passionate, we never want to turn that away. And we can create ad hoc committees and groups that come together to try to make the needle move a little bit more, right? So that's really where we're at. But I really encourage you guys to look at least some of the notes, some of how HR has documented this, and where we're at. And then the green area at the bottom is what we actually have, their existing benefits. So the red is not currently, the green is our existing benefits that people had wrote down and given us feedback on, but maybe you just weren't informed or knew that these exist on our campus and our community. And so I really encourage you to look at that. And HR put some comments here just of where you can get that. But if you have any questions, I do encourage you to go ahead in that Teams and put just some questions that we can follow up as a committee for us to digest a little more. But we are going to send a survey out to you all, and then we're going to get your feedback. We're probably going to have this survey launched into the end of the year, up before the next meeting probably being due, just to give you that time to connect with your constituents. And if we need more time or we hear from you, we'll advance it. But that way we just understand the clear direction of where we're headed as a committee. But we're happy to support anything. Yes.
I think at some point,
So we did do a call out with the Senate saying, share with us, have your constituents share with us anything that you see from other places that you wish was here. That was kind of, I mean, we didn't get a lot of feedback saying, hey, I really love this university or this institution and what they do here. We got a few of those, but not a ton. It was a lot more centrally focused to this. But if you all still have, yes. Yeah, and we have our, so Belinda Orgeck over here, oh my gosh, I said that wrong, I'm so sorry.
Ogarek, she in Human Resources is the benefit manager, but she also represents with all the other state institutions. So she's our main contact to be able to ask questions. So I would just encourage you to drop your questions even in our group chat or in the Teams channel for our group, and we can connect with the right people to get those questions answered. But yeah, so you don't have to wait for the survey to wait even longer. That's the type of stuff we can ask and kind of dive into earlier than that. Yes.
We share this document with our constituents.
Yep.
And everybody saw where that's housed in the policy and well-being folder.
Yep. So again, it's just, let me close out of here. Policy and well-being chat. It's on our chat channel right now, but it's in our files as well for HR response to staff benefits. So if you need anything or need me to send it via email, let me know. But that's just really helpful information that we received from that meeting. Yeah.
And I just imagine that benchmarking, I serve on this committee as well, and that depending on those 3 top priorities that we see, that benchmarking will be part of our process. It's impossible for us, obviously, to be benchmarking for all of those categories. So I think that's what we need help with is when we determine, the pulse check of the priorities, then we can do some of that, cross-institutional benchmarking with those top priorities to see where can we compare so that we can maybe affect some change in these areas.
Yep. And again, the red is benefits we do not currently, or we do not have control over or have necessarily to the degree that you all have shared that you wanted, or that we just can improve on, and what governing body can improve it. So either state, is it our system, federal law, mandates some stuff, and then the green is stuff we have already on campus, which is really, really important just to take a look at, especially if some of your staff just aren't aware. So, yes.
On the bottom of it,
I can make that, I can put that in there. Yes, I might put it at the top for everyone, if that helps. Yep. Thank you, guys.
Great job. Thank you so much. This committee, I'm a little partial because I'm on their committee, but they've been doing hard work, and I'll give a shout out to HR here. They have been very supportive, very helpful, very open, willing participants. I've seen no pushback or we can't do that or we've always done it this way, or quite the opposite. It's come to us, we want to work with you. So if you're out there, HR, thanks for working so closely with us. All right, next committee is professional development. Their report, community project, but lots of donations. Really, really great job. And thank you to all who did that. I know some offices did the Amazon link. And if you haven't, that's still an opportunity that you could have it shipped directly there and you don't even have to carry anything. But thank you to all who did carry something. And we want to definitely get pictures of that so that we can show what we did. Bylaws, their report. I'm going to add at the end of these committee reports that we have a new ad hoc committee. And I've asked Wright Culpepper to head this up for us. And so if you're interested in what I'm about to tell you, certainly see Wright, let him know that you're interested. But we're going to do a committee that will work for approximately 4 to 5 months, just looking at how staff and staff senates and other institutions are involved in the leadership process, whether it's presidential searches or board leadership, those type of things. So just a quick 4 to 5 month commitment. You're all already on a committee, so I get that we're asking you to double up. But if that's something that you want to leave a legacy here and have us be able to move forward, then I would really encourage you to seek out Wright. Raise your hand so we'll know who you are, and let him know that you're interested, please. Moving on to new business. This is where I'll turn it over to our vice president. Did I do something? Oh. Make sure you share it.
Oh, the slide?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Good afternoon, senators. Hope that you all are well. Here to present, although I'm here singularly, I am here representing the executive committee, which consists of Tyson, Andrewnette, Shelley, myself, Lena, Angela, and Bridget. And so just in full transparency, this proposed resolution was sparked just by the fact that we're in the middle of a presidential search right now. And if this search goes well, and we hope it does, will be another decade or so down the road before this comes up again. And we definitely did not want Staff Senate to wait a decade before we addressed our place on search committee. So just to be clear, this is different from the ask of a seat on the search committee or being a part of the board. What we are talking about is being included in panels and any questions, any opportunities that is offered to any of the other university constituents, such as our staff, students, alum, we would like to be included as well. That's what this is addressing, okay? So I want to clear that up from the top. So the proposed resolution, so Tyson, guide me, lead me, guide me. It's not on Teams? Oh, I'm sorry. I know. Why is that? Staff Senate proposed resolution. That's fancy. That's real fancy. Antonio, what'd you do there? I've never seen that. Let me show this one though. It looks better here. I think our folks, that's for our people at home. Okay. So that makes it really small. So I'm going to read it here. So what we're saying is, this is the proposed resolution. I'm just going to read it aloud. I know you all can see it, but just for clarity, proposed resolution. Whereas the UofSC staff comprises 65% of university employees, and whereas the University of South Carolina faculty and students each have a member on the board of trustees and staff members do not, therefore, be it resolved, the UofSC Staff Senate respectfully requests to the UofSC Board of Trustees that prior to the naming of a new president, staff engagement with potential candidates be increased to include, but not limited to, inclusion on faculty panels, an independent staff panel, and other direct engagement by staff members and staff leaders at UofSC. Be it further recommended that upon passage, copies of this resolution will be sent to the Board of Trustees, Dr. Harris Pastides, Interim University President, Dr. Stephen Cutler, Interim Provost Terry Parham, General Counsel Julian Williams, VP of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Carolina Gardy, VP of Human Resources, Jeff Stensland, AVP of Media and External Engagement, Dr. Audrey Korsgaard, Chair of the Faculty Senate, Alex Harrell, Student Body President. So you have had an opportunity to review the proposal as presented. And so now we have a couple of things. The first thing will be, I'm going to turn over to Tyson. We have to determine whether or not we want to even consider the proposal, correct?
Yes, so
as written.
Just a reminder, because this is the first time this has been presented to the body, we would have potentially two votes. One requires a 2/3 majority for us to immediately consider. And then the second vote, if the first one passes, would be yes or no on the resolution. So that's just a reminder to set the table. This is the same format of our previous resolution that occurred earlier in the semester.
Okay. All right, so now we'll recognize our Shelley Dempsey to explain the proposal. We recognize you with your mask on. So the background to this, just a little bit, is as we've had Lauren explain, we've been included through the search process by having Lauren there. There's been a promise that, or words that will be included in future things that happen. And so somebody asked, was there anything in writing? And so that was an excellent question. And so that's what this is. It's just putting it in writing. The conversations that have already been had with Trustee Westbrook, I have shared this with him, that this is a resolution that the group is considering. He wrote back today and said, thanks for the heads up. Sorry, I can't make it to your meeting, gave some information. So that's just a little background on it, that we've been having these conversations, but they've all been courtesies at this point. And so the thought by the exec was just having it a little bit more in writing, something we could share out. Does anybody want to have any other questions on the background before we vote whether we should even consider the resolution today? Okay, do you want to call it too? I can, but I move that we decide whether to bring it up, that we do bring it up for discussion today and vote on the resolution.
I heard it last time you said.
Okay. Do we need to do a roll call or
Yeah,
can we
roll
just do, okay. We'll do a roll call vote. You're voting at this point on whether you think we should bring it up for discussion, not whether you agree or disagree. You're voting at this point on whether it should even come up for discussion. And we need a 2/3 vote in favor of bringing it up so that if we want to discuss it. So,
If there's any further discussion.
Yeah, sure. Before we begin to vote, are there any further questions or discussion about the process? Seems not to be any. Anjanette, excuse me, Senator Hudley.
Lauren. Vanessa Berry, she has, proxy to Caroline. Proxy, okay. Delphine, she's absent. Stephen Burney. Craig.
Yes.
Chris. Megan. Wright.
Yes.
Jason.
Yes.
April. Yes. Kurt. Yes. Mike. Barry.
Yes.
Shannon, she's virtual, sorry. Janae. Kelly.
Yes.
Joseph.
Yes.
Lavita.
Yes.
Faye. Bo.
Yes.
Catherine. Brad.
Yes.
Brian. Beverly.
Yes.
Michelle. Melissa. Marjorie.
Yes.
Rebecca.
Yes.
Angie.
Yes.
Allie.
Yes.
Caroline.
Yes.
Anthony.
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes.
Elizabeth.
Yes.
Antonio. Georgia.
Yes.
Priscilla.
Yes.
Kim.
Yes.
Dewan.
Yes.
Christine.
Yes.
Leroy.
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Summer. Shelley.
Yes.
Andronette. Yes. Rashandra.
Yes.
Bridget.
Yes.
Tyson.
Sounds like we have consensus. Thank you all for that. So now we're able to, so we have just voted to consider this resolution as to whether or not we want to pass as is or with amendments or whatever. So I think at this point, we are open up the floor for discussion. I guess more specifically, okay, oh, great. Senator Fink, yes.
I guess, going back to what you said, Shelley, in regards to that we're trying to create something for future reference. Because I'm wondering if this goes far enough. And what I mean by that is right now we have Lauren on that group, but there's no mention of that for future reference. And is that in writing also? And so I guess I just wanted to throw that out, that does that need to be included in this to make sure or to ensure from our standpoint that there be someone on that committee?
sure, on the actual.
I'm gonna repeat it, Shelley, for folks
Okay,
listening.
yes.
So we have a question from Senator Fink asking if the proposed resolution has perpetuity, if it will be relevant years from now and will be able to address the need of staff as is written, or should we add some more? I'm assuming some more generic identifying information that could broadly address any such search as to come. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, or is that already in writing?
It's
Or
not,
something different than this?
it's not necessarily in writing for the search committee. Lauren and I've actually had conversations about that. I sort of envision it as somebody pushing a wheel, you know, a boulder up a hill, and you don't have to roll back down because you've gotten up a little bit. There's a famous person that's pushing that boulder. Who is it? Yes, thank you. I didn't know, but I'll put that down. We have discussed that. The urgency felt like a little more to this piece because that's where we're going now, and we already have the other. And there's been no indication that they're gonna nix Lauren off the island or any of those things. And so we really do feel good about where we are with that. Very positive, very appreciative. So at this point, my personal opinion is separating the two would be valuable to ask truly for what we want right now, given the urgency of the situation. Maybe, does that help?
Any other questions, Senator Dial? Yes, can you come down so they can hear you? Make sure everybody hears you.
May be less necessary. It seemed like we were all pretty excited to at least talk about it. That's a good thing. Mike Dial, the senator from the Academic Affairs Provost Reporting Units, had a conversation with a number of my constituents and with a few other senators, and just wanted to highlight that there are a number of us, many of us, who are on board with the thinking of our exec committee. We're excited that you came forward with this initiative. Obviously, you've mentioned that we comprise 65% of the workforce. It's important that we have that voice, in our next phase of the search process. Greatly grateful to Lauren. At the time of our last presidential appointment, many staff felt voiceless. Faculty who were tenured, students and alumni all had the opportunity and the safety to make their voices known, whether they were pro or against the direction the university was taking. While staff may have seen a number of issues with the relevant experience of our prior president and displeasure with the obvious political interference in the university governance, there just wasn't a safe way for us to voice that. USC also has a history of enabling a lack of transparency in our presidential search processes. Having staff engaged in the process will open up for us a more transparent pathway for this group, this body that represents an important group on our campus, to have a voice and have a say and have an understanding of where we're going. On the current search, we were lucky to have Lauren, but the Board of Trustees circumvented our staff Senate representation after multiple requests to have Shelley or others from this particular body serve on that group. So it does seem to forebode, as Senator Colacion brought up earlier, it would be good for us to have in writing a plan of where staff will fit in. Thankfully, Lauren was incredibly communicative, but as we move into the next phase, it's imperative that staff, through their duly elected senators, have a seat at the table. Staff have been voiceless for quite a while at this university. This body, that represents the needs of staff at USC, was formed just to do that. To not take this opportunity, to not say that we need this opportunity to have our voices heard and to be available and to be seen as important by the next potential president of our institution would be a dereliction of our duty, in my opinion. For this reason and the reasons above, I fully support the proposal and encourage my fellow senators to vote yay. And I thank the executive committee for their.
Thank you, Senator Dial. Do we have any more comments? Floor, Senator Colacion. If it didn't come, I was going to repeat it, but yeah, it's fine. Just want to make sure everybody can hear it. Yep. We get busted on this every time.
Senator Colacioni, representing the Division of Student Affairs and Academic Support. I just want to also remind everyone that even the start of this staff senate, in the history, as we were described, in July, I was going to say a couple months ago, but a little longer now. That was one of the requests, is to have us be a part of this process and to be at the table in different ways. And so that to me is just something where we just to continue advocating for our voice and continue pushing forward, sharing that we are not going to back down and we want to be representative for our constituents. The fact that we're 65% of the workforce here on this campus. And so I do encourage all the senators in here to vote yay. This is of urgent matter, and that is all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Colacione. Do you have any other comments?
I just have a question. Why would any staff member not be interested in this? It just seems like it's the very bare minimum. It seems so uncontroversial.
So the question is, why would any staff not vote or would be not in favor of this? Well, I can't speak for the Senate, so if anybody wants to offer.
Is there anybody that wanted to speak in opposition? I'll make sure we gave that voice if there was someone.
I mean, yeah, certainly. Yeah. Somebody, both.
Question. I know that you mentioned that this proposed resolution maybe for the future, 10 years down the line, but it sounded like there might be some limbo in the current search. And if they are restarting the search and have a new committee, it might be possible that this resolution will pass even in the current search. So that
We expedite this?
We are here to represent this.
No, I mean, like, okay,
No, I hear what, yeah.
you don't know.
Yes, she's saying is, can we?
If
not
this is
say-
a failed search, do we have to wait 10 years for this to happen? Can it start in
Well,
January?
You know, we did hear different opinions on it, and, you know, and Lauren, certainly thank you for your work. I should have said earlier, and it's nothing, thank you for your representation and openness. You know, and to the point of some do feel like, hey, the ship has sailed, you know, they've worked really hard, they have good candidates, and to your point, the candidates have met the profile, so there may be some who feel as if, you know, why come in and rock the boat at this point? That's an alternative view. I'm just representing all of you. We have heard some feedback that, you know, why rock the boat now? You know, we're already have our candidates, things have gone well, which is how they're blocking the road, but we're moving forward. That has been an opposing view. Also, some feel as if the staff senate is still getting their footing. That we are still forming and that we still have to create relationships and work well with others across campus. And so there's some concern about that. I will be honest that those are some concerns that have been brought to the executive committee. To answer your question. And, you know, Shelley in the very beginning, or President Dempsey in the very beginning, showed like some of the reasons why we have the staff senate. And, you know, I will counter that, you know, just as much as we have to build trust and relationships across campus, I believe you all that we have to build trust and relationships with our coworkers and our other fellow colleagues as well. And so that's why we were elected to represent them. So some could counter with that also. Just want to represent both sides.
I think we're waiting for somebody to move to vote. Or
Oh, no, we had a couple. Okay.
A second.
All right, moved by Senator Culpepper, seconded by Senator Lefley. So we're getting ready to vote on the proposed resolution as is. I didn't think I heard any edits or changes. All in favor? Say aye. Do we have any opposing? Yes.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
Vote no. Yes, no.
Any other proxy?
Proxy for Vanessa Berry.
Yes and no. Yes, okay.
I didn't catch.
And I think,
Senator Yarmouth.
Proxy for Summer Norman. What's our vote?
No.
Okay.
And proxy for Kurt Barrett. Yay.
Sorry, we couldn't hear yes or no.
Kurt, Gary,
Yay.
yay.
Kurt's a yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joe, I know you have proxy for Catherine Hilson, Sarah Hilson.
Joe, don't you have proxy?
Thank you.
She told us in writing we had her proxy.
Yeah, we got the food.
She trusted you like that, right? Yeah, she sent an email. She sent an email and said you were. Any other proxy votes? Our proposed resolution is now our past resolution. We'll get this expedited to the appropriate commission. Thank you.
All right. I want to thank everybody for your time today. I want to remind you that we do have a holiday celebration right outside these doors. Thank you to our treasurer who got much of this as a gift in kind. She is not afraid to ask.
All of it was a gift in kind, so
She
thank
is
you.
not afraid to ask. And so we have
Yeah,
something to
I
add.
was just gonna say, you know, great thanks to our Mark.
Yes.
Who was willing to give us this in-kind donation. Give us a little holiday cheer. For the staff.
Thank you to Aramark.
Thank you to Aramark. And are there any quick announcements before we move on to eat? Yes. Peer W up here. Anybody else, Mike?
Info sessions with the exec board will likely take place on 1 o'clock on January 5th or 6th. I'll send something out later this week.
Let's don't talk about January, okay? I'm not ready. Just kidding. Thank y'all for doing that. Any other quick announcement? All right, we'll see you outside. Go and enjoy.
Holiday.